Here's another tough dog fishing tip for you. Hi everybody. Do you like fishing at night? Are you tired of the light of bobbers and the fells and the glow sticks? But when you have to go over there and relieve yourself, you can't see your pole? I got just the thing for you. I call it the Firefly. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So you can probably see I got some stuff all scattered out here. Well, what I've got is a AA battery holder. And I believe I lived near a Radio Shack when I did this the first time. And I got a bunch of these little 1.5 volt lamps. And I also got some of this super fine electrical wire. I don't know what gauge that is or anything. I can't tell you because I just don't know. But it is super fine. It's like a big fat hair. Okay? And what I do is I take 2 strands of that. I got blue and white. And I stretch it out the length of the pole. And then I add about 4 inches to allow for where the poles slide in and out of each other. This way you can put it on your pole and leave it there even if it's folded down. And I also found through trial and error that these little glass bulbs will shatter if you smack them on something. So what I've done is I've got my hot glue gun out and I coated the bulb in hot glue melt. Which amazingly enough, the light still shines through it. And this is one that I created. I used a little metal canister and I put one of those hot melt glue rods that you know, refillable sticks that you put in your glue gun in there, and I put it under a torch until it all melted. Then I just dipped this down in it. But I guess it got hot enough that it was starting to burn and it turned brown. Which doesn't hurt a thing. You can still see the light when it lights up. And then I also incorporated a little bitty switch. That way I could turn it on and off without having to take the battery in and out. So I'm going to put one together. I thought I had some laying around here, but apparently I can't find them. So I'm going to put one together and then we'll see what it looks like. Okay, I like to solder the wires together and then tape them up. And you see there kind of what it looks like. And I take the 2 strands of wire and I twist them. I hook them in the vise and I stand back and I just wrap them around each other until it makes one single line. That way it doesn't want to spool up and fray out and act goofy all over the place on you. And then you attach the light to the other end. Alright, I'm going to test the lamp just to make sure it's a good one before I do it. Now this is an old battery. I have an old flashlight that's been sitting in my toolbox for years. I can see it lighting up a little bit, so I know the bulb is good. Okay, so I have the bulb wired in, taped up. Now I just got to get a good battery. So you get your good battery and you pop it in there. And presto, you got a light. Now I know it doesn't look like much right now, but wait till it gets dark. You'll see what I'm talking about. Alright, you get your hot glue gun out. And when it starts flowing, just kind of cover that up. Now if you smack it on something, it won't shatter. It's better to dip them because it flows better. And you would think that's going to keep you from seeing it, but you believe me, that's not going to be the case. I'm just going to rub that off on something, if I can find something. Use a little piece of cardboard to try to smooth it out a little bit. I think you can see what I'm doing, can't you? Just rolling it. It's got a little, almost rubber casing on it now. Okay, we'll let that cool for a minute while I unplug the gun. I like to pull enough string out so that I don't have to be concerned about getting the string tangled up in the tape. I go around the end of this to the top side of the pole, opposite the eyelets. Right on the very end, so it'll hold it in place, but yet you can still get your battery in and out. And then you just kind of smash that extra tape down to where it doesn't get a bunch of gunk stuck in it. And then after you put your battery in it, I like to take another piece of tape and wrap it around the whole thing, but I fold one end of the tape back so it's easy to get a hold of, so I can unwrap it and take the battery out when I'm done fishing. But anyway, you just take you have your little pieces of tape already pre-cut like you see here, and just work that wire up the line, putting one periodically to where it's there. Yeah, it becomes a relatively permanent fixture on your pole, but if that's your night fishing pole, you won't mind. Let's see, right here is where this separates. Try to keep them getting twisted up and knotted, because that wire will be tending to kink. And I don't know that you can see what I'm doing. Let me back out a little bit. But anyway, I just work my way up the pole, basically, is the point. And I like to secure it right on top of where the eyelets are, so that it doesn't accidentally flip around to the other side. And get caught up in the line. And then right here where your pole slides in and out of itself, I like to figure out how much does that move, and give myself that much extra wire right there before I put another piece of tape on it. And that will be a little loop that you'll see while you're fishing, but you want that there. I didn't make myself enough pre-cuts. Actually, at this point, you want to take your light bulb itself and go all the way down to your very last eyelet on the tip of the pole and secure that on there. And you don't want it hanging out past, because you don't want it flopping around. But you do want it secured right here. Keep that line out of the way if you still have line on your pole. Let me show you what that looks like, how I did that. See how it is right there? It's not going to be in the way. Your line's going to be underneath it. But you'll be able to see it. And it looks like the tail end of a firefly sticking out there. And then you just work your way back. That way if you made your line too long, you take all your extra that you have bunched up right here at where your pole separates, wherever that is, right here, and that's where you can have all your extra line. Okay, so I have put one piece of tape on each eyelet and stretched the line tight down through there. Now we're right up here to where the pole slides in and out of itself. I'm going to zoom in on that so you can see. And see, I actually have a little bit more wire left over than I thought. That's why you want to start at the other end and work back. You know, take a piece of tape, put it on there, and button that rascal up right there. Now, if you travel with your pole all assembled all the time, you don't need to worry about this. But I find that sometimes you just want to break your pole down. So what I do with this when it's like that is I just kink it so it don't stick out so much. Maybe give it a simple twist like a little bow tie. And just let it rest there. It's not going to hurt anything. It's not gonna, believe me, it's not going to be in your way and it's not going to matter. Make sure you can get your battery in and make contact. And it lights up, which it does. I can see it from here. I take my tape. I just fold over one end. And I use that so I have something to get a hold of. And I stick the other end on the pole and wrap it around the battery. And that way when you're fishing, your battery won't fly out and it won't come loose from the pole. But when you're done with it, you can unwrap it and get that battery out of there. Because you have a little thing to get a hold of. Ta-da. Now you can also slip something in between the contact. You can actually pull this back enough to slip a little piece of plastic or something in there and break that contact on your battery so that it doesn't eat up your battery while you're not using it. So, yeah. And there it is, just waiting to travel. Let's see what it looks like with it lit up in the daytime. Not that you'll ever need it like that. You'll be able to see your pole in the daytime. But just to show you what it looks like with the hot glue on it. If I can find it. There it is. Doesn't appear to be coming out too good on the camera, but I can see it with my naked eye really good. Alright, I'll show you what it's like after dark. And please don't misunderstand me. These work fine in the daytime. I just don't like them because they're always, when you do catch a fish and you go to set that hook, more times than not they fly off and they're in the bushes behind you. And you're lucky if you can find them. Such has been my experience at any rate. So that's why we go with the Firefly. It's like Ronco, man. Set it and forget it. Okay, it's just a little bit past dusk out here. And it's not even completely dark, but I gotta use a flashlight so I can get so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So, I'm gonna put the battery in this rascal. And I'm using that electrical tape to hold it in place. Wrap that back around there. And now I'm going to kind of get rid of the light and pull back so we can get a shot of the whole thing for you. Now as I move the light, well, I'll just leave it like that. We'll see how it turns out. Oh, see that? Now imagine you're fishing and you're walking away. You can actually see that little beacon for quite a ways. You get that big old fish on there, looking at that bait, you're going to see that. That's why I call it the firefly. And so now you have it. There you can see it in the pole a little bit. And that rascal will flex with your pole when you're casting or reeling in or catching the big one. I've been using that for years. And the only problem I've ever had with them is I tried Velcro to hold them on the poles, and sometimes that breaks loose. That's why the electrical tape just works best. Alright, there you have it, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.